Hey, shalom. So glad you are here. Today we'll be continuing in our study of the prophets. We're doing directed Hebrew immersion. If you're new to the channel, whatever your level is, you can get something from it. As long as you learn something every lesson, that's good. We're moving forward. Now, let's see. I want to open with Psalm 1. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach ba'atzat resha'im ובדרך חטאים לא עמד, ובמושב ליצים לא ישב, כי אם בתורת אדוני חפצו, ובתורתו יחכה יומם ולילה. והיה כעץ שתול על פלגי מים, אשר פריו ייתן בעתו, ועליהו לא ייבול. וכל אשר יעשה יצליח, לא כן הרשעים, כי אם כמות אשר תדפן רוח, על כן לא יקומו רשעים במשפט. וחטאים בעדת צדיקים, כי יודע אדוני דרך צדיקים, ודרך רשעים תאבד. Wonderful. All right, so let's get into our lesson. Here we are. This is 1 Kings, chapter 12, verse 32. We left off with verse 31 last lesson. And it says, Vayas Yaravam kechag. Vayas. Well, here we have our good friend again. And give me just a second. I didn't set something up. Okay. All right, it should be fine. So we know this word. We see it all the time. Asah, iron, seen, and hay. But the hay has fallen away. Okay. And then we have the prefix yod, indicating he, that the subject of the verb is he. Who is that he? That he is Yaravam. So Ya'as means he will do, or he will make, or he is doing and he will make. And the vav conversive there changes the aspect for us. Vayas. And he made. So Vayas Yaravam. Then Yaravam made. What did he make, or what did he do? A kechag, a holiday. When? Bachodesh, hashmini. בחמשה asar yom לחדש. Okay? So ba is an inseparable preposition, meaning at. So this is giving us the time that he did this thing. At, or on. Sorry, I thought I had more screen there to write on. Chodesh. Chodesh means month. So we have a noun adjective situation coming up. Here is our noun, that's the thing, is the chodesh, right? The month. And you can tell it is at the month because the beit is at, and then the this is left over from the definite article, ha. Or you could think of it as the ancient hal. Ancient hal. Okay? So b is at, is the, chodesh is month. And now we're going to get our adjective. The adjective will typically follow the noun, right? The thing that's telling you more about it. What kind of a man? A green man. Don't make me angry. Did you see I don't know which Hulk this was. It's with the Fight Club guy. And he's living in Brazil. This is a great line, and he's speaking in Portuguese. And he says, "Don't make me hungry. You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry." That one's for Pete out there, if you're listening. All right. And then ha. Well, that's the definite article in its full glory. Ha, with a dagesh, just as expected. The. Okay. Why? Because nouns have to agree with, adjectives have to agree with the nouns, right? So since we have the over here, albeit all that's left is the ah sound, we have to have the over here. So we say ha, the shemini. That means eighth, the eighth one. So in the eighth month, vayas Yaravam, then Yaravam made a kechag bachodesh hashmini, in the eighth month. In the month, the eighth one. בחמשה asar. Oh, I got chicken scratch all over the place. Sorry about that. Okay. So again, inseparable preposition, beit. Maybe this time I'll outline the whole shebang. Why not? No, it looks terrible. Looks terrible. We'll do it the same as the other. Kind of. Also terrible. Well, I'll just outline the whole thing and maybe it'll be okay. Okay. So at Chamisha asar. Chamisha is 5. Asar is 10. So that's 15. At 15 yom, day, lachodesh. La is another inseparable preposition, meaning to or belonging to usually. I'm just going to write to. Actually, let's do the whole thing. It's to, like the dative, or belonging to. Belonging to. Okay, and then we have the ah, that's telling us the, right? Again, the ha left his footprint. So belonging to the, and I'll zoom in for any of you cell phone users there. The chodesh. So the 15th of the month. So literally 15 day, on the 5-10 day, belonging to the chodesh, month. Kechag. Ke means like or as. It's another inseparable preposition. Now we've seen them all. Look, in just this one line, we've had beit, lamed, and kaf. Those are the 3 inseparable prepositions. They do not stand alone except in very old Hebrew texts. Then they can stand alone sometimes in a special mo form, like they have mo attached to them, like kemo, bemo, etc., lamo. So this is as or like. I guess it's showing a simile. Like, and you might notice there's a segol under here. Those 3 dots. Okay, hold on, let me pause. My device is malfunctioning. Okay. These 3 dots, called a segol. And for those of you who care about this, what's happening is because the chait has a comets under it. Got this guy. When you have the comets, it looks like a T underneath the chait, and you want to attach the definite article, ha. So pretend the kaf is in here. The ha up above. You want to put ha there, it becomes he. That's just a spelling thing. So that's just the footprint, again, of the. He left his footprint there. Left his calling card. So I will detail that as well. Let's mark that. So instead of yellow, I would have done red, but it's kind of hard to see. So this part is another the. So ke, as or like, the chag. Like the festival, like Festivus. like the festival, asher, which, wrong which, not that kind. Which, W-H-I-C-H, which, or who, in this case, not a person, so which, Bihudah, is in Judah, or was in Judah. We have to supply the English word to be. So here we have the beit, and I just can't get that guy to be colored not gray, so we will fix it now. That's another inseparable preposition, beit. In Judah. And what's happening here is we have this little special rule. If you have a word, the XX, X, X, that's just some word, if it starts with a schwa under it, and you want to attach an inseparable preposition like beit, kaf, or lamed, I should do beit since that's what we have here anyway. It likes to have a schwa under it. But this is a violation because you cannot start a word with two schwas in a row. So this, not allowed. Okay. So what happens is usually we do compensatory lengthening. We lose that bottom part of the schwa. It just lengthens to a chirik, right? But in the special case where we have a yod here, if the yod was the guy, let's say this is a yod, the word starts with a yod, okay, and he has a schwa underneath, now something special is going to happen. The yod decides to be part of the chirik vowel. So instead of a short chirik vowel, we have a long chirik vowel, or a full chirik vowel, and he loses his consonantal properties. So there's no vowel underneath anymore. And you can see that is exactly, here we have it, and that is exactly what's happening. Ah, why did that happen? Bizarre. How bizarre. Here. No. It doesn't want me to show you. There we go. See, same thing. So, when you say in Judah, please do not be like a lot of people are. I hear this so often at synagogues, at other kahals. I have heard, not regularly, but I have heard this so often. People will say, be, so what they're doing is they're taking that original beit with a schwa, they'll say, be Yehudah. Doesn't happen that way. Or sometimes some know a little bit more Hebrew and they'll say, be Yehudah. Nope. Yod is very special. If it started the word and it had a schwa under it, or sheva, if you're using modern Hebrew pronunciation, then it will lose its consonantal properties. It's called quiescence. It will quiesce and become a vowel. This happens in English with the letter Y as well. Y, if you remember your vowels, what were they? A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Unless you're in Massachusetts, and sometimes W. Also, but so the Y, we treat it as a consonant. That means it makes a consonantal sound. Often when it starts the word, like yes, it's a y. That's a real consonant. That's not a vowel sound. But oftentimes at the end of a word, it makes a vowel sound. Predator or prey, right? It's a diphthong there with the A, so it's helping with the sound, right? Unless you're in the deep south, and maybe you say, it's time to pray, in which case it's a vowel and a consonant, but that's neither here nor there. That's a special way to say it. I like that way. I like it when Southern preachers say it that way. I dig it. I'm not making fun. But I will say the same thing's happening here in Hebrew. The yod is sometimes a consonant, and sometimes it's a vowel. Here it's decided to be a vowel. So you don't say be Yehudah, you don't say bi Yehudah, you say Bihudah. Same thing with Jerusalem. It's Yerushalayim. So there's a yod and a vocal schwa there. So we say be Yerushalayim. Sorry, some Telegram messages are coming up and distracting me while I'm teaching. Hold on, I need to take a quick drink. You can take a look at the notes. Even though I'm pre-recording, I'm not going to pause because, hey, people have told me they like the slight breaks while we're going. So take it all in. Finish your notes. All right, here we are. So far we've got ויעש ירבעם kechag בחודש השמיני. Then Jeroboam made a chag bachodesh hashmini, on the month, the 8th one. בחמשה asar yom לחדש. On the, and I should have made that red there. Let's do it now. Let's fix it now for consistency's sake, especially for you visual learners. The here, that's the. So the beit is in or on, and the little sound is the. That's actually what this. You might be thinking, wow, all these sounds, they tell you, all the vowel sounds, they tell you if it's a the, or it tells us so much. And so this actually goes a long way in understanding how the pronunciation has largely been preserved in biblical Hebrew. And the patterns, at least, are very well understood. So the ancient pronunciation is not going to be so violently different. Actually, and we can't even say the ancient pronunciation. In biblical times, there were various pronunciations, just like we have with English today. So someone from the southern kingdom would say something differently or pronounce it differently than someone in the northern kingdom. What we have is a snapshot in time. We have a continuous history of our people, all the way to the Masoretes, who still were fluent in biblical Hebrew, hadn't lost it, had the scriptures memorized in Hebrew. So there wasn't like some time where they invented and changed the vowels or something. Okay, been chatting with a brother about this recently, so I decided to address it. It's a continual line, you understand? And so while it may be true that their particular pronunciation of a certain vowel with consistency might have been different than another ancient pronunciation, it still was the ancient pronunciation up until just a handful of centuries after the Romans expelled everybody. Because people came back. This is called the Tiberian school, right? So people came back. We wanted to be in the land. And so keep in mind, if someone talks about the ancient pronunciation, myself included, it's just kind of natural to say this, to assume this. Really, you had many ancient pronunciations, but they wouldn't have been so wildly different that one could not understand another. It's not like trying to make Hebrew sound like Arabic, right? Like putting oohs all over the place where they don't belong, changing an O into an ooh or something. Don't do that, because that's a different language. And all of the different traditions we have for pronouncing Hebrew, we don't make long cholems into ooh sounds. You know who you are. You know who I'm talking to. In love. In love. We don't say tuda. Every single Jewish tradition that's out there, they pronounce that cholem vav, the long vav, as some kind of form of the oh sound. Some exaggerate it a bit. There's some Ashkenazi groups that go oi instead of oh, just oh, but it's got the oh there before the diphthong. We don't say ooh, because ooh indicates a passive. A strong ooh sound, a shurik, indicates a passive, and you really mess up the language. Unless you're trying to just sound like Arabic, then okay. If for some reason the younger language Arabic is superior in your mind, then okay. But there was no interest to the Arab speakers in maintaining Hebrew. Trust me. They did not understand Hebrew. They still don't. And we don't understand Arabic. So they're pretty far apart. I thought one time, hey, maybe classical Arabic will be close enough to classical Hebrew that I can understand it. And, and I wanted to do justice to the Quran. I wanted to see, could this really be from God? What if I just don't believe it because, I didn't grow up that way? And so I bought a Quran in Arabic and started trying to read it. And no, it's very different. Yeah, it's a Semitic language, but it's very different. I mean, maybe, some of the stuff that was just stolen directly from Judaism, you could understand it pretty easily, right? Because It's even they would use some Hebrew words sometimes, right? But a lot of the stuff, it was maybe hit and miss, maybe 30%. Maybe 30%. I'm not talking about when people speak it because, pronunciation and speed, that's maybe 5%. But when you're looking at it and you're reading it, if you know biblical Hebrew, then you can probably get 30% of the Quran, of the vocabulary. It doesn't mean you can understand the verse because it's just like crazy town what it's talking about. But as far as just trying to understand what the words mean, right, getting at the words, then yeah, like that. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I have family members writing me on Telegram, and I put my computer in focus mode, but it thinks that Telegram is still allowed to send pop-up messages. So it's just, hello. All right, so continuing. Baxhamsha asar, in the 15th Yom day, belonging to the Chodesh month, kechag, like the festival, asher, which Bihudah is in Judah. Vayal. Okay, so here we have the verb Allah. It's ayin. Try to figure it out before I say it. Lamed, oh, maybe I said it already. Oops. I'm trying to make these better each class so that you guys accidentally remember stuff too, right? So I'm trying to employ some tricks I learned from the Pimsleur method many years ago. And then hey. Oh, here's what we'll do. Yeah, we'll make our hey nice. Let's do this. Hey. Okay, let's see. Sorry, as a kid I loved Fat Albert. That's the wrong purple. What happened? There you are. This one. Hope you visual learners dig it. I got the wrong hue again, but whatever. Maybe it's good it's slightly different because he's gone. He's not there. So the verb was Allah. Ayin. Lamed hey. And the hey has gone away. Right? The yod at the beginning, what's it tell us? Try to remember before I tell you. The yod prefixed to the verb tells you he. And then that vav is going to change the aspect. Or as Ibn Ezra says, you can think of it as changing the time. Even though that's not exactly correct, it's usually correct. Like at least probably 90% of the time or more. Oh, but the drawing was terrible when I zoom in. Oops. All right, so Allah is to ascend, right? You got your little two fingers standing like a guy on your hand, and they go up in the air. That's a sign. Allah, to ascend. The yod, the ya at the beginning. People who don't know Hebrew too well, when they hear that ya in front of words, they think it's God's nickname, the ka, right? But it's not. This is just, ya just means he. So, ya'al is he will ascend. And then the vav makes it he ascended, right? Or he brought up. Vaya'al, and he brought up al, upon, the mizbei'ach, altar. He brought up upon the altar. Ha. You should be recognizing those ha's. They're all over the place. Ha, ha, ha. With the dot after it when it can. That's our the. Mizbeach. The root of this is zavach, zayin beit chet, which is to sacrifice. In ancient Hebrew, it is as it is in Ugaritic, it meant to slaughter, to ritually slaughter. But over time, it came to have the more general metaphorical sense of sacrifice and also literal sense of sacrifice. A zavach is a sacrificial offering. So the mizbeach. the altar. Right? The mem is telling you this is something that's used in the process of the verb zavach. You zavach on a mizbeach. You zavach a zevach al hamizbei'ach. You sacrifice an offering upon the altar. All right, continuing. Cain, asah, such he did. Bebeit ale, or actually this is a name, so I should read it with an ancient pronunciation. Bebeit ale. And it would have been said as if it was one word. Vayal, Vayal. That's a th sound for the tav when there's no dagesh in one of the ancient pronunciations. Here we have an inseparable preposition, beit. And a little trivia about this guy. When it comes in front of the word house, it will not always be written. I guess the ancients just sometimes considered that redundant to say beit. Right? So if I want to say in a house, bebeit, in biblical Hebrew, sometimes it will just say bayit. Like that, the two baits in a row, they somehow just got absorbed, right? And actually, I guess that's consistent. This happens with verbs also. When you have a verb and two of the root letters are the same letter, invariably one disappears. Sometimes he leaves a mark behind with the dagesh, but it'll go away. So, yeah, I think just kind of a characteristic of the language. People did not like repeating consonants one after the other if they did not have to. Here we did. Here we have beveit or beveith, but sometimes it will disappear. I'll admit that it's more rare that it disappears than common, but it does happen. That's actually useful to know too. If you like to do praise and worship music, you're putting stuff down in biblical Hebrew, well, you can lose a syllable if you need to. You just lose that beit if you need to. All right. Lezabeach. This is an infinitive construct form. Zabeach is to sacrifice. See the same root as up here? Mizbeach, zabeach. And we have the lamed, just like in English, when we do the English infinitive, to run, to kill, to sacrifice, to slaughter, to rejoice, etc. We always put a to in front, and the same thing here in Hebrew, lamed. Actually, we don't always do it in Hebrew, but if you wanted to have that meaning of English, to sacrifice, it's lezabeach. Oh, I'm sorry, lizbeach. So this is actually for, or to, in this case it's for a sacrifice. I was treating it like a verb, and it's not. For a sacrifice. Okay. Oh, wait. It is. It's the PL. How could I miss that dagesh? I'm a little tired tonight, guys. I apologize. Look, we have a dagesh in it. So this is actually the PL infinitive absolute here. Boom. So for sacrificing. For sacrificing is the meaning. Yeah, that tripped me up a little bit. Kings is a little bit weird because sometimes the way the prophet or the scribe writes is a little bit different than what you're expecting if you're expecting Torah Hebrew. Lezabeach, so for sacrificing. There, it's better, like the construct, the absolute idea. Laagalim, asher asah. La, for. Huh, tablet moved. Ugh. I'm just going to color it on the top, okay? It's hard for me to see when I'm drawing because I'm nearsighted and my glasses correct for the distance stuff. I need to take them off so, and then lean in. So for, and then what's that ah underneath? What's the comments doing there? The ah. For ah. For ah, or if you're Ashkenaz, for o. For o. Laagalim. So that's our the. Because the ayin cannot take a dagesh, right? So what happened is the word is starting with an ayin. Let me color it here so we can recognize it as. No, that's too hard to see. We'll do cyan here. Ayin or ayin cannot be doubled. So it cannot take a dot inside of it, the doubling dot, known as the dagesh. So when you have a word that starts with an ayin, That did not go how I wanted, but fine. And we want to attach the definite article there, ha. So the normal pattern is we draw our hey, we put a patach, and we put the dagesh inside from the hal, right? That's the ancient lamed. The problem is that's not allowed. So it is rejected. The dagesh is rejected, and you can kind of think of it as being animated, like calms down here, and that dagesh joins himself to the short vowel, patach, creating the long vowel, comets. Here. Okay. And then later, the lamed came in and kicked out the hey. The hey went away, and the lamed moved in. So that is why we have this vowel here. That's telling us there was a V there. I like to think of it as the hey is a Canaanite. He built a house. And then the inseparable preposition, beit, kaf, or lamed, moves into the house. So the footprint is still there, okay? So you see the lamed. Actually, I should maybe zoom in a bit. For you cell phone users. We see the lamed, and we think 2 or 4. And then we see the and we think, the Canaanite was here. The definite article ha was here. So this is the for the laagalim, for the calves, right? Remember, he's making golden calves. So terrible. It should really give you pause. Oh, and here you'll notice it's a plural ending, masculine. So it's not calf. Calves would be eglot. This is laagalim. So we have this. This is telling us it's bulls. Okay. Although that can show up sometimes as kind of a common ending, so it could even be asher, which asah, he made. Hamid, the vayal. So the verbal root here is amad, like Ahmad Rashad, as my rabbi used to say, famous basketball player who was really tall. Ahmad. Ahmad is to stand. And from Ahmad, we get pillar. Think of those kind of old Roman style pillars, right? That's an amudah. Or pardon me, an amud, or amudah, should have both ways. So that's a pillar, something that stands. And you remember we have this rule where if you have a hey prefix to the verb, and especially if you have a yod jammed in right before the third root letter, these are signs of the hifil, binyan, or the causative verbal stem, hifil. Okay? That's what that's telling you. So if Ahmad is to stand, then Hamid is he caused to stand, right? Or to make it less wordy, he erected, like to erect a monument. Or you could say, Hamid Amudah, he erected a pillar, right? But then we have the Vav. And what's that Vav do? The Vav conversive, what's he going to do for us? What has Vav done for us lately? Changes the aspect. So Hamid means, it's actually not erecting it here. It's not changing the aspect here. I am just not on fire tonight. I don't know. I have been really sleep deprived recently. I apologize. So I'm going to make it the other green color for the non-Vav conversives. And now it could have been, if it was to say that he was kind of doing this process for all, he was constructing, if it's focusing on that, but I don't think so. I think what we have here is just a normal Vav, not a Vav conversive, just a normal Vav. The Hamid, and he erected at or you could just use this sign, like the Russians call sabaka. I don't know why they call it sabaka. Sabaka means dog. Does that look like a dog to you? The at sign. Why do they call it sabaka? Be'et Bethel. That's the place name, Bethel. House of God, or house of the divine, rather. Could mean house of an angel. Et Kohanei Habamot. We have a construct chain. Finally, they have been noticeably absent. Finally, we get our friend, the construct chain. Yay. How you guys doing? If you have any comments or questions, remember you can just type them in the side. And if you like what we're doing here, please consider becoming a patron at mypatreon.com. This is my day job. we have a ministry. So if you would like to contribute to this cause, I would very much appreciate if you'd consider becoming a Patreon. Become a Patreon. Become that website. No, become a patron. You can also give through PayPal, or if you're in the Philippines, you can just send a donation to using PayMaya. Just send it to Hebrew. In the entire country of the Philippines, if you send on PayMaya to Hebrew, we will receive your donation. All right. Now, Kohen is priest. Kohanim are priests. So usually it ends in a mem, right? And that mem has been deleted so that we can mean priests of. Ha-bamot. Ha-bamot. So we have definite article, ha, meaning the. When I'm too far out of the lines, I just say, fine. Just do the whole thing. It's really hard when, well, first of all, it's vertical, kind of the surface I'm drawing on, in my defense. And I can't see it so well. So ha is the bamot, are the high places. And since that last word is definite, it's going to make the whole chain definite. Right? So we say, Kohane, the priests of the high places. So sickening to read about. Asher, which, asah, he made. Ooh, so terrible. I don't know how long I've been recording. All right, I'll take a drink. You go ahead and finish your notes up, and I'll take a look at the next verse and see. There's only one verse left in the chapter, so I'd kind of like to finish it. Maybe what I'll do is I'll annotate a little bit less on the next one. I'm not sure. Anyway, let me get my drink. And I'm back. That was fast. All right. Yeah, it's kind of long. Changing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I would like to finish the section. Maybe we'll just kick it up a bit. All right. This is supposed to be for all levels of Hebrew learners anyway. It is immersion. It's okay if you don't get everything right away. All right. Verse 33, and it ends with the Fei that our ancestors, the Masoretes, put down in the text so we would know this is the end of the section. The way that people memorize the units. Vayal al hamizbei'ach asher asah bebeit. Okay, Ya'al, again, it's from Allah. The Yod is saying he. I'll mark a few things. I want to make sure you guys are seeing these patterns, so. He alad, right? The hay went away. So Ya'al, he will make vayal, and then we do have the actual vav conversive. And he made, and he did, upon hamizbei'ach, the altar, asher, which, asah, he made, bebeit, at Bethel. Baxamsha asah, on, the, and see, we really have a good idea what these vowels are. It's consistent, at least. At the Chamisha asar, 15th. So 5, 10. Yom, day. Bachodesh, hashmini. No, I'm just kidding. Hashmini. It's not my shemen. That would mean my shemen, my oil. Shemini means the 8th, right? It's from Shmoneh. So be in the chodesh month. The shemini, the 8th one, right? Then we got our adjective following the noun. And so they have to agree in definiteness. And by the way, a brother was pointing out over in the Anshe Yisrael chat that sometimes the vowels are changed. That is true. The rabbis will sometimes suggest changing vowels for the purpose of getting at maybe it was transmitted wrongly right there, or maybe there's a deeper meaning, right? Like kind of a double entendre that's happening. So a noun and an adjective, they have to agree in definiteness. Right? So the in ba and the ha in hashmini, those both mean the. Right? We expect that for the adjective to agree with the noun, both in gender, in number, and in definiteness. That's whether it's a the or not, right? Or a name, like Yisrael is definite. Okay? Bachodesh, in the month, hashmini, the 8th. Of course, ba is an inseparable preposition. Okay. Bachodesh, in the month, asher which, bada. It's like he devised. Bada is like he devised, he thought it up. Hat erfindet auf Deutsch. Milibod. Milibod. Me. You should recognize this. Who knows what me is? Think about it for a second. So, anybody get it? I know there's probably going to be a slight delay here. So you may say it in the chat after I say it here, but you'll still see it in the chat first. So this is mean, right? Meaning from. That dagesh in the middle, that's the noon assimilated in there. So from, okay, so it says libod, which would mean like emptiness or aloneness, solitude, right? So if we accept the text the way we have it in the Masorah, from solitude, right? So asher bada, which he devised, me from libod, from solitude, right? You could make a teaching on this, that what loneliness can do to a person, right? The only problem is we don't really see that he was so alone. You know? So, I don't know. We do have textual variants. You see the little D here? This is telling us there are other variants. And in fact, the Kare tradition, the Masoretes themselves, they even suggest, even though this is the received scroll, this is received tradition, the Masoretes honoring the consonantal text, they don't want to change that. They write in the column. And what they write in the column here is milibo. Milibo. And maybe I'll write this down here. Let's see what color. We'll use let's do yellow. Haven't used that much. Milibo. So we still have the mem. Lamed. Beit. Oh! So, milibo. I should have colorized this a little bit differently so we could... There. Anybody understand what that says? It's like I left a dagesh off by accident. Oh, I was trying to color that coolly. Oh, no! Oh, well. We'll just make them purple. Let's make them both purple. My bait might be a bit too wavy. And we'll be consistent. Let's make the mem the color of our prepositions. And if it's min, We're going to need to have a dagesh in the lamed there, right? So from the lave of, from the heart of him, which means that technically lave would be in a construct form here, if we're marking everything, right? Or livav, either one. See how I was mentioning that Hebrew doesn't like to write the same letter twice, the same consonant twice? Note we have a dagesh in the beit that's showing us one of the letters disappeared from levav. So that works also. So the Masoretes thought that it's probably milibo. They corrected it, but only in the columns, right? Because who's to say? Maybe the way they had it memorized was different than there's a reason why it's different than what was written on the textual tradition. So the ketiv, the written form, is milibod, like from solitude. It's possible. And the kere, the read form, is milibo. Vyas, chag. So he made a chag, a celebration, a festival, livnei Yisrael, for the children of Israel. Construct form. Definite. So the definiteness comes here. That's why I can say the children of Israel. He made. Here we have the yod again from asah. That's telling us it's he. Ya'as, he will make, but vayas, and he made. Okay? I'm just doing the colors, not the full notes. Vayal. Same pattern here as over here. So I'm not going to copy it. Okay? So you got this vav consecutive, vav conversive happening. Same thing here. Okay? Vayal from Allah. And he made, or did, upon hamizbei'ach, the altar. Pardon me. He went up, not made, from Allah. And he went up, or he brought up, upon the mizbeach, the altar, lehaktil, to make it smoky. Right? Like we have the ketoret samim. Ketoret samim from the same root. Ketoret. Ketoret is like incense samim of spices, right? But the incense is really the idea that it's sent into the air, right? So katar is to be aromatic, to be in the air. And then we have another hifil, and I'll just colorize it because I mentioned it earlier today. Note takers, maybe make sure to make note of where the hifil is. It's okay if you missed it the first time, at least get it this time. I should have said something then. I meant for our index volunteers. So the hifil, that's a hifil, is to cause, really to cause to be smoky. So to make smoky, to make aromatic, like burst it into the air. Have you ever walked into some hippy dippy new age shop, or some shop that the owner is a hippy dippy type, and they're burning incense and there's candles and there's all that? It's like that, right? It might smell nice, but it's rotten for the soul. Okay, any comments or questions? Maybe I'll just go through and colorize some of the things that I did not. You guys can be asking your questions or commenting. I hope we have a good turnout while this is happening. Please tell your friends. We've got a lot of feedback from people that are having breakthroughs with the Holy Tongue, and I'm so happy to hear that every time someone shares it with me. Oops, wrong color. Ugh. Oh, my device stopped working. Look at that right at the end. Oh, maybe that means we're done. All right, you guys have a great rest of the week. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll see you tomorrow for Kohelet, right? We have our Kohelet class. Let me zoom out so you can get your notes. If you'd like to join us in conversation, you could meet us on the Telegram app over at https:// for telegram.me, like me, / Hebrew literacy. And that is a non-sectarian. We have Orthodox Jews over there. We've got Baptists over there. Whatever your faith system is, if you're a Bible believer and you want to get better at biblical Hebrew, you're welcome over there. And we also have a more sectarian channel. If you're interested in that, you can ask about it over there. And we also have a debate place and a woman's place and all that stuff. So hope to see you guys over there. Shalom, shalom.